it all started, dig if you will the picture. I'm sitting in a restaurant in Columbus, Ohio with my mother in 1993. We're sitting there talking about the big themes, as is our wont, and chewing upon entrees. And she said to me, Brendan, time goes sideways. Everything is happening right now. Your birth, your death, your high school graduation, the dinosaurs, the invasion from the planet Meep-Zorp, it's all happening at this moment. But our feeble brains can only experience things one at a time. It is our feeble imaginations that force us to experience things one moment at a time. And when she said that, for one 15-second period, I think, I got it. For 15 seconds, the cosmos opened up for me, and it felt like I was on mushrooms. And then it closed, and I was back to just living in the concatenation of daily events, and it was all gone for me. But it's a fascinating thing, and as a theater director, I use time. Time is really my only actual modeling clay. So the audience comes in and they experience a play, and then they go away and they'll say, well, it whizzed by, which is a sign of a good play, which is a bad sign for theater in general. Or they'll be like, that was slow but interesting, you know. So I have to figure out how to make time go fast and slow as a theater director. It's a fascinating quandary, and the odds are against me, because time, when you unpack it, is basically, we are on this planet that's spinning around really fast and hurtling through space, and time is basically a stamp on where we were in the universe at that moment. It's really space, basically. Which is creepy at its best, and at its worst, it'll keep you up all night. They've done studies on the suprachiasmatic nuclei, which governs our circadian rhythms in our brain, and they have discovered that if you put a person in a room, take away all newspapers, clocks, and windows, we think there are 25 hours in a day. So it always feels like there's a day either missing or that was added in. So suddenly you're cramming for the exam, but it's too close, you know, or you're at or sometimes it works for you. You're at a wedding, everyone is stuffed to the gills with lobster, you danced your asses off, and you're wandering in the parking lot, and it's only 9:30. That's awesome. This happened this last week. My sister got married, and we're professional partiers. We know how to pack it in, and we got in the car and looked at the clock, and my girlfriend was like, I fucking love this family. Very, very exciting. But the problem is that time, you can't grab it. We have all these senses: sight, touch, taste, smell, thank you. Hearing. The feeling you get after a really satisfying fart. But you don't get, you can't feel time, but we know it's passing. So this is very, very, very tricky, and people have been arguing about this for years, even millennia, about exactly what the story is. And there are basically two schools of thought about time, and I'm paraphrasing here, but the one school of thought is time is a thing. And this is espoused by people like Isaac Newton, who was knighted and therefore wore his suit of armor all over his laboratory. And then there was crashing into test tubes. And then there is time isn't a thing. It doesn't exist. And this is people like Immanuel Kant, who overcame a very discouraging last name to become a philosopher of great renown. So it's very frustrating, and you look at an hourglass, and an hourglass is big and fat on top and on bottom. The future and the past, and the present is 1 grain wide, and it's terribly difficult to get those grains to go faster when you want them to, or slower when you want them to. There's the times your first day at a menial office job feels like 5 years. Your beard grows like this and has gray streaks in it. But then you get off the plane, and there is the love of your life, and you get in the car and you want to push the needle down on the groove in the record so that now feels bold and underlined. But neither time can work against you. So humans, I'll tell you a little story. About our feeble attempts to mark time. Time has bedeviled many. Luckily, there's organized religion to sort the entire thing out. So back in, let's see, pre-46 BC or so, you had your Romans who were going around declining things and conjugating things everywhere they went. And the only people who knew what day it was were the priests, who were a little corrupt. There was the moon. They based the moon as the moon for everything. So they would have like 15 months some year and 11 months other years. Well, only the priests knew. And sometimes they would have friends who were senators, and there was term limits, and so they'd be like, oh, no, there are 2 more months in the term. I happen to have this legislation I'd like to ram through. Or they'd be like, well, that's the first again. You owe me rent. Again. Again? Jesus Christ. Oh, well, he wasn't born yet, but... again? Some baby soon. So it was very tricky, and finally Caesar had enough, and he named the year 46 Annus something Confuciosus. Annus Ultimatum Confuciosus, the final year of confusion. There was going to be no more confusion because he was like, I've had it. I have some announcements to make, and he threw his napkin down, and he was like, hey, somebody go to Denmark and get some canned fish and put them on my salad. B, everyone stop looking at my perfectly round head. I wasn't a vaginal birth. I know. That actually reminds me of an interesting story. My friend Lewis is a C-section, and he has like a basketball. It's like a perfect sphere. And he has a friend who's an OBGYN, and they were sitting in the balcony of some concert, and his friend was like, dude, check this out. And they looked over the balcony, and he was like, C-section, 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 C-section. And this holds true. You start hugging people, and you start to become obsessed with this, and you're like, were you a C-section? You'll see it everywhere. It's really fascinating. Anyway, so and then he said, C, get all the IT guys, and we're gonna solve this moon shit once and for all. So that's what he does. He gets them all together, and they all get out their abaci. This was covered in a previous low tide. They're using abacuses back then, letters instead of numbers. This must have taken absolutely forever. They figured out that the sun, I think they probably thought the sun rotated around the Earth or something like that, or the sun rotated around Jupiter and we were perfectly set. I can't remember. I didn't get that far into Wikipedia today. But anyway, sun goes around the Earth. It takes 365 days. Phew, everything's fine. But some of them were like, it takes 365 days and 6 hours to get around the sun. So that's a problem. We've got to figure that out. The rotation of the Earth is not in line with this part where it goes around the sun, and so because it takes 6 extra hours. So one smart kid looked up from his little iPod, and he said, I have an idea. What if every 4 years we add a day, and it'll be like a leap year? And they were like, that's great. This is fabulous. And then they started naming months. There were 10 months in the lunar calendar, which is why October is the 10th month instead of the 8th month, because they had 10 months. November 9, December 10. And so Julius Caesar was then like, let's add months in the middle. I'm fond of July. I like to go take the waters. Let's name it July. Oh, it was called something else at that point, like Quintilius was the month or something like that. And then his son or grandson, Augustus, thought, the rentals are much more expensive in my month. I'm going to name it fewer bugs. And in my month, people drive 6 hours all the way from New York City to go to Cape Cod. So he said, so this is going to be August. But back then, it was all the months were like 30, 31, 30, 31, 30, 31. But Augustus was like, well, I'm not going to have a 30-day month. If Julius gets to have a 31 day, so I'm going to have 31. And that's why they're all cattywampus at this point. They're all crazy pants for that reason. And this February guy really pissed somebody off because they only got 28. But anyway, so there we have the month. So it's all settled. Everything's fine. Now we can have a couple of millennium. So everything's great, right? But here's a couple of problems. You got your Easter, which is sort of borrowed from a lot of different, I don't want to say anything too controversial here, but it was borrowed from a bunch of different other religions. There's the equinox. And they had the Council of Nicaea and Constantine, who's always into changing shit. Didn't he name something? Didn't he name New York Constantinople or something like that? He said if any of my teachers ever watch Low Tide, they're going to find me and pummel me. But anyway, Constantine is like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to make it it was an 8-day week. We're going to make a 7-day week. And it's going to start on Sunday. That was in the year 321. Then 325, he was like, and we're going to ruin the lives of a lot of people by gathering in Nicaea. And so we're going to go and have a big council. We're going to make things very difficult for some people, but very easy for other people. So they go and they meet guys getting worse and worse. Sorry, and getting more credit. Not that controversial. I mean, Jesus Christ, it was like 1,700 years ago. We're cool, right, guys? We're cool? They're all dead. So anyway, they meet, and at the Council of Nicaea, they're like, okay, we don't want, they wanted to distance themselves from the Jewish calendar, and so they were like, we're going to make it so that Easter never falls on Passover, so it should be the first Sunday after the first full moon, after the equinox, unless it lands on a Sunday, then it's the Sunday after that. That is actually how Easter is determined. I've never known this until today. And so, and they were like, oh great, that sounds fine. Fast forward, so it was 300 down. Fast forward to like the year 1500. The Julian calendar is in full swing. The problem is, those IT guys in Rome were off by 11 minutes. It's actually 365 days, 5 hours, and 49 minutes. So over the course of 1,500 years, that adds up to 10 days. And so for Pope Gregory the 13th, people were starting to show up to Easter Fest with like floaties and peeled noses because it was dragging all the way into summertime. And he's like, that is not cool. And so he gathered all the IT guys in the Vatican in 1582. And he was like, here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to figure out what the fuck is wrong with this Julian calendar here. He was a lawyer. Pope spoke like that back then. And so they gathered it all together. They gathered everybody together. And they figured out, they did some fine tuning. You have to do it every 400 years, do a leap year, blah, blah, blah. They figured it out. It gets too boring after that if it wasn't already. And so he's like, all right, so attention Catholic countries, October 4th, 1582 is going to be followed by October 15th, 1582. You know, Italy, all the Catholic countries are like, sure, all right. And so, but then Germany and England were like, what the fuck? And so like Queen Elizabeth was like, OHN, oh hell no, that's not going to happen in England. And so then imagine flight timetables. Thank God flight wasn't discovered by the Wright brothers before this, because then in different parts of Europe it was either 11 days ago or now. So you could, so if you were like in school and your paper was late, you could dash over to Germany, get it postmarked 6 days before it was due, and then you're all set. So it was all crazy, and they did not all. Oh, also January 1st became the first of the year in this time, 1582. Before that, it was March 25th for some reason. So imagine that. So put that in your Palm Pilots. So everything got a lot easier now, right? So let's see. So then we have so Queen Elizabeth. Oh hell no. But then eventually she was like, fine, or somebody said fine. 170 years later. For 170 years. So like it was all the religions were fighting each other to determine what day it is when we can have our birthday party.